What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And before we get into it, let me just say thank you so much for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you out there. Thank you so much for your sharing and your subscribing and your comments. All of it is greatly appreciated. You'll never know how much your support means to me. You are my motivation to keep doing these videos, so thank you out there. With that out of the way, this is a serious topic. This is a serious topic. Um, life is. There's certain ideals that we have about life that looks good on paper, but when it's lived out in real life, like when you put it into literal use, it falls on its face and it doesn't make much sense. Take online dating for instance. Online dating is a great theoretical thing. It's a great theoretical experiment. The fact that you can go onto a website and that you can input data, the things that you're looking for in a long-term companion. You can put in things like age range, height, um, facial features, weight, your likes, your dislikes. I mean, you can break it down to basically create the perfect man or woman that you're looking for. And theoretically, this sounds like it would be a great ideal because it would stop you from wasting time with people that don't fit your criteria, people that you don't believe will be a great long-term companion for you, a lifelong mate. The problem with that is, like a lot of other things, it's just good on paper. When it's actually put into practice, it is catastrophic. It's just produce catastrophic results. And the reason for that is because attraction is not a choice. You cannot create attraction for another person on a piece of paper. You can't create it on a dating app. You're literally going on there and you're looking at pictures. And based off of the pictures, this is where your attraction is derived from. But that is not attraction. Attraction is not just looking at pictures. Attraction comes from knowing something about the person. And it doesn't have to be something very deep. But what I'm saying is, attraction comes from being in the same space as an individual. There are many people, many women that I found attractive in real life, but whom I would have never had the opportunity of meeting because they did not fit certain criterias that I would place on my online dating profile. Whatever those criterias are, the height, the age, the weight, all this other stuff that we put on there, they would not fit. So a lot of the people that you would actually be attractive to in real life, you would never even send messages to on a dating app because they are outside of that box or those filters that you set up. And this is a problem that really falls on the side with women because women base things on height, income, and all this other stuff. And a lot of the men who they don't even see because they're outside of this criteria, if they were in the presence of these men, they would be attracted to them. So online dating has, when put into practice, created catastrophic results because it has divided people who would have otherwise in real life been together and actually have been happy. Aside from that, there's a trickle down effect that has taken place. Marriages are falling apart, families are being broken up, marriages and families are not being formed because women are overabundantly hit with messages. They're constantly getting these endorphin hits of attention from different men of all different calibers. So their emotions are constantly going crazy around the clock. Each message they get is a new opportunity to them. That's how they see it. Even though that's not reality. But online dating is not reality. But they think every time they get a message that is a potential opportunity, when it is not. It is not. Most of the messages that they get are probably guys looking for one night stands. Let's just be honest. If he can get sex on the first date, he's going to take it, and he's not going to call you again, and he's going to move on to the next. Especially if he's the type of guy that a lot of women clamor for. So that's what's going on the women's side. They're curbing guys that would be great mates for them, or actually they're not even seeing them, because a lot of times they don't even meet their filter. But if the guy happens to meet their filter, they get so many messages, they're moving on to a new guy because they think he could potentially be a better guy for them. On the men's side of it is the opposite. Men are basically struggling to be able to get women's attention online. Whereas if they were in person, in a real physical place in real life, with these women at a Target, at a mall, at a wherever, there would actually be a level of attraction between the two. So men are fighting with other men who just want to smash, just want to have sex, not looking for any kind of commitment or anything from these girls. They're fighting with these men to get the attention of women whom, if they met in real life, they would be great partners and companions for one another. As a result, marriages that are already formed are being broken down. Our divorce rate is high. Men and women that would be getting married if they met under normal circumstances. I know online dating has become the new norm, but it's not normal. Just because something becomes normal doesn't mean it's normal. It's not normal to kill people. But if enough people, if half of the society started killing people, then it would be looked at as normal. But killing people is not normal. Neither is online dating. We were never meant to meet people this way. We were meant to meet people through physical interaction. Anyway, marriages are not being formed. Marriage and family is not just about legacy. That is a huge part of it, yes. Huge part. But marriage and family also has other benefits. Intangible benefits. Things that you can't necessarily put your hand on. This is what Jordan Peterson is going to talk about in this video. And this is really the part of our society that has crumbled and it's literally standing on its last leg. So I'm going to play this Jordan Peterson video, then we're going to come back and I'm going to break it down even further and dissect it so we can come to a clear understanding of what it is that he's saying, what it is that is taking place, and how as men this has impacted us.
If you're never required in your lifetime to adopt the responsibilities, particularly of parenthood, there's no reason that that competitive hedonistic lifestyle won't just continue. Now, you know, it gets pretty stale and ugly by the time you're 40. Even if who wants, you know, you want to be a juvenile teenage player by the time you're 40. The problem with depriving people of responsibility is that you deprive them of the necessity that matures them. And the problem with that is that that produces a lifestyle that is self-destructive in actually relatively short order. And so by lifting the responsibility off the shoulders of people and replacing that with, let's say, state support, you're actually you're certainly demolishing the women because they have no men to rely on, but you're demolishing the men too because they have no necessity to require them to mature, and that's actually a catastrophe, not a freedom.
All right.
If you're
I want you to take in everything that Jordan Peterson said. One of the reasons a lot of us get nostalgic and reminisce about years that have passed. You know, back in when we were kids, back in our teens, we hear a song, see a movie or something, and we get the feeling of nostalgia. It's because a part of us want to go back to a place in our life where we wasn't so stressed and we wasn't so bogged down with responsibilities. I myself have looked back on, during the ages when you be in college and back in high school, and I know a lot of us had different experiences when it came to high school and elementary, and some of us had terrible times in college and in high school. We may have been bullied, you may have been overweight or had something else going on where you was the object of ridicule, or you may have had a tough home life that made those years that should have been some of your most carefree, it was a detriment. It was something that you struggled with. But in general, for most of us, those are the times when we had the least amount of responsibility. Not a lot was expected of us. So when we hear songs that take us back to those particular times in our lives, and it gives us that feeling of nostalgia, it's that feeling of carefree. It's that feeling of not dealing with the pressures and the stresses and the anxieties that come with being an adult, that comes with being a father, that comes with being a parent, that comes with being a husband. Because these things require us for the ability to take on a lot of stress, a lot of responsibility, and it is work. It is work. So not only are you working to earn a paycheck, you're working to maintain a household, you're working to rear up kids that are responsible, you're working to maintain a healthy marriage. And everyone's life looks different. Some people are married, and not only are they taking care of children, but they're also taking care of in-laws. There's some people who their spouse's parents are old and sickly, and then they have to take them on. So not only are they caring for their offspring, they're also caring for in-law parents. So there's a lot of different dynamics here. But we can all think back to a time. We can hear a song or see a movie and think back to a time where our life was not like that, where it wasn't stressful, where it wasn't anxiety and all these different obstacles and things that we're dealing with, that sometimes you just want to run away from, and you want to jump out of your own skin and jump into someone else's skin, jump into someone else's shoes for a day, for a week, for a month, and just get a break from the life that you have. I know people who have spouses who are sick, like bedridden sick, like they're not able to help themselves, sick, they're not mobile. And it's like the amount of pressure that something like that puts on a person, because not only are you responsible for the finances, for the house, you're also responsible for this other individual who really can't do anything for themselves from a mobility standpoint. And it's a lot of pressure. Raising kids is tough. It's a lot of pressure. But, and I'm getting the tough stuff out first. Now, to go back to what Jordan Peterson is saying, All these things I said about responsibility, becoming an adult, is true. But there's also another side to it. Responsibility builds a man. Responsibility builds a leader. Responsibility produces maturity. A man can never be great if he has no reason to do so. A man's family gives him strength. It gives him the ability and the capability to go beyond his own natural limits, to reach a place where his best is required. It has to. He has to get there. That has to happen because he's got people dependent on him. He's got responsibilities. He's taking care of a wife. He's taking care of children. He's taking care of in-laws. He has responsibilities. Those responsibilities gives that man a reason to be great. It gives that man the ability and the capability to go beyond anything he ever could have done had that responsibility not been placed on him. Now, let me say this. There are a lot of men that did a lot of great things without family. Without a wife, without kids, without family. Without any kind of responsibility or support of that nature. But guys, these guys are very far and in between. These guys are the minority. These guys are the minority. The road to greatness for each and every one of us is a long and strenuous road. A man will fail along the way. He will get hurt. He'll need to be patched up, stitched up, and nurtured back to health just so he can go out there and try again. This is why family is important. Responsibility is the catalyst for you to become great. Many of us who are failing today are failing because we don't have that thing, quote unquote, that thing that requires us to pull the best version of ourselves out of ourselves. And that thing that was supposed to be there to be the catalyst for us to do that is missing. So we are missing out on becoming the best versions of ourselves. I don't want you to believe for 1 second that I am an advocate against marriage. I'm not. I'm against marriage in the United States and any other country that has the same, from an institution standpoint, because the laws incentivizes women to leave men broken and to destroy their family. So I'm against marriage as an institution by the state because it incentivizes women to leave the family, to break the marriage, to break their covenant, to break their vow. And she will do it because she's being encouraged to do it. I don't believe that the state makes a marriage legit. God does that. The man and the wife does that. Commitment does that. And that has nothing to do with the state. They're there for one reason and one reason only: to profit. Having responsibility, having a family will mature you in ways that will never, it will mature you in ways that you would never have the opportunity to do without it. This is why responsibilities is necessary. Without responsibilities, men will stay forever 21. Like that store. They'll stay forever 21 when they're 30, when they're 40, when they're 50, when they're 60. Because as men, we need a purpose. We need a reason to be great. Greatness doesn't just show up. Greatness needs to be pulled out of a man. This is why we had so many great men, because they always had a catalyst. For the most part, there was a catalyst for them to be great. And I believe that starts with a family. If a man has a wife who loves and respects him and who's loyal, and he has children that look up to him, they become his catalyst to do great things. A lot of men today, unfortunately, we are missing the catalyst, because women have made it very clear, and I mean average women, below average women, above average women, I don't care where they rank on the look scale, on a dating market scale, they have made it very clear that they do not want an average guy. They want a guy that's ambitious. They want a guy that's over 6 feet tall or over. They want a guy that make a lot of money. They want a guy. So there are a lot of men whose potential is being wasted because what used to be the catalyst for a man to be great is now missing. So yes, we have a lot of men now who have given up on dating. Like the other video I did with the young man who wrote an email to the female dating coach. We have a lot of men who have just checked out. The manosphere is full of it. Even red pill men. A lot of men have just checked out. The problem with the checking out is that it deprives you of becoming great. Yes, you can do a lot of great things. I'm not saying that. Let me be very clear. I'm not saying you need a woman to be great. What I'm saying is you need a catalyst. And that catalyst comes in the form of responsibility. It could be taking care of elderly parents. It can be taking care of kids that you had out of wedlock. Maybe you have children and you're not married. What I'm saying is responsibility is what builds a man and helps a man achieve greatness. Without that, you have a lot of men that just have wasted material. They have greatness inside of them. I believe every man has the ability to be great in something and in some way. I'm not saying, we all got Elon Musk inside of us or we all got Jordan Peterson inside of us. But what I'm saying is all of us have untapped potential and abilities and capabilities to do something beyond our own natural limitations. Because responsibility pulls something out of you that you didn't even know was there. This is why it's important as men for us to mature, for us not to be afraid to take on responsibility. And I mean reasonable responsibility. I'm not telling you to go out there and marry a woman with 4 kids by 3 different men. No, we don't talk. We don't teach that over here. You don't have kids, you get with a woman that doesn't have kids, and you start your own family and your own legacy. If you choose to get with a woman that has kids, that is your responsibility. I mean, that's your decision to do that. You're free to do that, but that's not optimal, in my opinion. I think men who don't have children should get with women who don't have children. And I understand that in our culture today, that is extremely hard to find, especially once you reach a certain age. A lot of us men don't mature until later on in life. We may not mature until we're 35. And if you're looking to marry a woman or have a family, a lot of women in and around that age bracket may already have a child, which is why a lot of men advocate on marrying and dating younger, which I advocate too, because I want men to get the best possible outcome. And I know the less trauma and situations that a woman has been in increases the chances for a good man to have a good woman, a good family, a good marriage, and a good life. But we all need responsibility, guys. We all need that catalyst in order to make us great. And I know we may all have that nostalgia where we think back at different periods of our life and we go, oh, that was the days, or those was the times when you were in college, or if you was in the military. Shout out to anybody on my channel that's been in the military, because military life, base life, getting off the base, with your friends, and that's a great time. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I was in the military for a period, so military life, especially if you're young with no responsibilities, you'll probably build your most significant memories during that period of your life. But those periods of our life is not what make us great. It's not until that catalyst comes along, and that catalyst is in the form of responsibilities. That's when we become great. That's when we shine as men. And this is why we see the dating market in shambles and in the condition that it's in today. Because a lot of men do not have the catalyst, the responsibility that used to be there for our great great grandparents, our great 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 grandparents, and beyond, that required us to be great. And the last thing Jordan Peterson touched on was the state. This fall more towards specifically the woman's side. Because if you've been watching my channel, actually, I don't know if I did a video on this. So let me say this now. I don't agree with welfare. I think welfare should be abolished. I do think there's time in life when people need help, but I think welfare should be temporary. I think you should have a limited amount of time for when you can get state benefits. I think when you get state benefits, there should be requirements that you need to meet. Certain markers you need to meet in order to keep getting these benefits. Benefits were supposed to help families that need it. It was supposed to be temporary, but there are people making a living off of being on state benefits, where it's become their profession. You know how someone is a professional accountant? You have women out there who are professional state benefits recipients. They've been on it for 10 years. They've been on it for 20 years. They've been on it damn near their whole life. That is not what state benefits should be. State benefits should be to help you, your family, get back on their feet. And there should be a time limit. Once you get on it, the clock starts ticking. And I don't mind us doing things to help them get back on their feet. Job training, skills training, whatever it takes, that's fine. But there's no way that a woman should be able to be on state benefits for 20 years. And in that 20-year span, she keeps popping out children. The system, the state has become an enabler. It has enabled lazy, dependent, and rude, crass behavior. So now, the catalyst that women used to have, the responsibility that they used to have, is no longer there. So now you are not seeing the best version of women that we used to see decades ago. Because they no longer have that quote unquote catalyst to make them great, to make them better. As long as the state is a safety net, they will never be better. They will never tap into their ability and their capability in order to make them better women. Men need responsibility to become great. Women need responsibility to become great in order to get a husband, in order to have a home, in order to have children and raise them properly. That is a responsibility. And that responsibility was a catalyst for women to become the best versions of themselves. So guys, I want you to look at responsibility differently after watching this video. I want you to look at it as an opportunity to become greater than the person that is listening to this video right now. And if you can do that, you will become the best version of yourself. So don't run or despise the catalyst. Sometimes we need that, and sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it hurts. I'm going to say this before I get out of here. My daughter has become a catalyst because it has forced me to mature in ways where, had she not been here, I would have never matured. That's what Jordan Peterson's talking about when he says the hedonism aspect of it. Without her, I would have still been living in a hedonistic way, which is a life of pleasure, a life of comfort. That's what hedonism is. Putting pleasures above all other things, even to the detriment of a society or of a community. I would have still been living a life like that. But when my daughter came along, she became the catalyst, and I needed to mature in different areas of my life. And that was something that I had to drop, was this pleasure, self-seeking life that I was living before. So having that responsibility of having a daughter created a better man. So all you guys have greatness in you. Each and every one of you. You have greatness in you. You just need the catalyst. You just need the responsibility that's going to pull it out. So guys, let me know what you think. I hope you liked this video. I'll leave the link and you can check out this Jordan Peterson short. For those of you who are not familiar with Jordan Peterson, get familiar with him. I think you will truly enjoy his points of view, his intelligence, and his topics regarding men and relationships. All right, I'll talk to you soon.